A warm welcome to this week's edition of Breeding to Win from South Africa's heritage site, Turffontein Racecourse. Once again, we have a busy show in store for you, so let's take a look at what you can look forward to on this week's edition of Breeding to Win. We go to Drakenstein for their Stallion Day. As always, we feature another one of John Freeman's stallions, and we go to the launch of Green Street Bloodstock and chat to some of the guests.
Hits the front in the Oaks, her 1,000 guineas success. Minding outclassed them. Architecture gallant in defeat. He's coming with a challenge and moves through into second. And it's Tarzan who has won the Investec Derby.
A length and a half away. He's 2 lengths in front. Chrome turns to gold. Smart Qual wins the championship.
Absolute thriller going to the line. It's Durban July.
Drakenstein Stud, one of South Africa's top stud farms, recently held their Stallion Day. The Breeding to Win team were out and about, and they bring you this report.
It's a great honour to host you for this morning and hopefully a little bit later on this afternoon as well. We're going to start with Philanthropist, because who could have had a better year than him? He's the sire of Singapore Sling and the winner of the Hong Kong Classic overseas. What a year it has been. He must be just one of a handful of South African sires ever to sire an international Grade 1 winner. The good thing about Philanthropist is that Singapore Sling is going to continue to race in Hong Kong for a number of years. So surely the buyers in Hong Kong, when we open up the exports, are going to be looking for Philanthropist. So now is the time to use him this season. I would get in, get your mares covered, and then be selling the Philanthropist later on in a couple of years when Singapore Sling wins further Group 1s in Hong Kong. The next horse is Duke of Marmalade. Well, what has started has been to Duke of Marmalade's career here in South Africa. The 5-time European Group 1 winner and champion older horse couldn't have got off to a better start. Having never ever sired a juvenile Group winner in any crops in Europe or Australia, the Duke has turned up with a champion 2-year-old at the Cape Awards and the debutant Group 3 winner, Temple Graphin. Surely it goes to show that some blood just works in South Africa. The Lassidier family has a great record in South Africa, and Duke is just another example of it. He's only going to go from strength to strength, because nobody could have expected him to get 2-year-old stakes winners. Can you imagine what they're going to be doing when they're 3 and 4? As ever popular this year, he is extremely well syndicated, and shareholders are to be thanked for their support. He's the sire of over 60 international stakes horses. He's already a proven sire and built to suit South Africa. There surely can't be as many good-looking horses as this one. This is Futura. He's obviously by dynasty, one of the most successful sires ever to stand in South Africa. This is his champion, Horse of the Year, and 4-time Grade 1 winner. He's extremely well syndicated and been well supported by his shareholders. This is a stallion that is just getting better and better, not just in his looks, but also in the foals that he's producing. We really have spectacular foals on the farm here, out at Graaff-Reinet, and even on the other farms as well. The breeders are extremely happy with the foals that they're producing. This is the time to get into Futura. In his 3rd season at stud, he's guaranteed to have popular yearlings at the sales next year. Surely this is possibly a future champion sire in South Africa. He has some bookings available to him, so please contact John Freeman and get your mares to him.
Futura's had a couple of seasons already. We've got a couple of foals on the ground, and they look the business. They actually really love the individuals. Incidentally, we've got one on the farm that has the most incredible action. He gave me a cold chill up my spine when I saw him gallop in the paddock the other day, and that's encouraging.
What a Winter just continues to impress and tick off all the boxes required of a racehorse, of a stallion that gets commercial yearlings, a stallion that is popular with breeders. He seems to do it all every single year that he's been at stud. He's had another wonderful year and will continue to have so. He's obviously got some very exciting 3-year-olds that are just coming in and winning some very nice races. We've got a filly like Clouds Unfold to look forward to, who in defeating the boys was the first time a filly had done it in 10 years in the Kenilworth nursery. He's got other exciting 3-year-olds like Water Captain, Dirty Nelly and Agent of Fortune to look forward to as well. We must not forget that his crops that are currently out there and the ones that are being bought up by all the trainers are sired at only 20,000 Rand. These are his 3rd and 4th seasons at stud. We haven't even seen the foals from his 5th season at 50,000, and this year surely the mares are going to only get better and the stock is only going to get better for him. He really is the commercial king as he continues to get outstanding looking individuals that trainers just can't get enough of.
Well, Marsh Shirtliff had great success with What a Winter when he was on the track, and he absolutely looks fabulous this morning. And Marsh is with me. Doesn't he look absolutely out of this world?
Yeah, when we got here, we went straight to the stable, of course, and we had a look at him, and he is truly amazing. He's really filled out. He looks like he could still race, and looking at him striding out here and full of nonsense, he's magnificent.
Yes, he was really full of beans. And his progeny already doing well?
Yeah, I think so. We're looking for Group 1 still, but we've had a number of group races, Group 2s, Group 3s, and yeah, we're hoping that he'll do the trick this year in this Cape season, come up with a Group 1, hopefully in the Cape Flying, who knows what else.
It's always a great pleasure to introduce a horse like this. The champion sire of South Africa in 2016, Trippy again, has produced some phenomenal racehorses this year. As you can see, the old boy looks as fresh as anything and ready for the covering season. Would you believe it that Trippy is now 21 years of age? He's the sire of 7 stakes winners this year, 4 Equus Awards, 7 Grade 1 winners and 38 Grade 1 horses. He's the champion sire of South Africa. He's also now an acclaimed broodmare sire in the US. This horse has proven the naysayers wrong and wrong again. He's got another extremely exciting crop of 2-year-olds this year to look forward to, with Chimichurri Run, Lesedi Lerona, Rail Trip and Charles, just a number of them. And of course, he continued to sire Grade 1 winners in the best classic races with Lobo's Legend, as well as Miss Catlin winning the CTS race, White River running 2nd in the Cape Guineas. Trippy just continues to prove people wrong.
The Highlands and Ridgemont team have got shares in 3 of the stallions that we've seen this morning at Drakenstein, and with me now is Mike Sharkey. Mike, I believe you've got shares in 3 of these beautiful stallions this morning.
Yes, we have. And also Gold Standard, so that's 4. 3, we support them well, and yeah, happy to come here. It's lovely stallions and we get lovely foals.
I thought they all looked absolutely remarkable today. Now, you said you're involved in Trippy, Philanthropist and the Duke of Marmalade.
Yes, yeah. I'd say Trippy still looks fantastic. He looks like a 15-year-old, not a 21-year-old. And we just had a Trippy foal the other day, beautiful colt. And yes, yeah, I've never had a bad Trippy.
Of course, the Duke had his graded win at the end of the season. That was also fabulous.
Yeah, and then also we bred Trip to Heaven, who I think is the unluckiest colt never to win a Group 1.
So for the first time we are going to have a son of Trippy standing at Drakenstein, which is obviously something that we've been aiming to do since Trippy arrived. So what are the defining qualities of a stallion? Must he have completed in all the classic races at 3? And must he have beaten some of the older horses or raced against them in some of the best races? Must he come from a great family? Or must that family have a great filly close up in it? These are the attributes that some of the great sires have in Sunday Silence, Galileo, Dubawi and Fort Wood. Must he come from a pre-Proton sire line? Well, this is Trippy's sire line. This is the Mr. Prospector sire line. This is the sire line of many of the great champion sires. Must he have the physique and the good looks breeders are looking for? Well, we think that Gold Standard, in fact, we know that Gold Standard ticks all of these boxes. The new kid on the block, with everything to do, but we know he can. As the first son of our champion sire to retire to Drakenstein, Drakenstein is going to be giving this son a full go this season.
Well, what an absolutely fabulous display we've had this morning. The stallions here at Drakenstein are looking absolutely amazing. And with me is owner Gaynor Rupert. Gaynor, thank you very much for having us all here today.
Pleasure, Fee. Thanks for coming.
The stallions look absolutely remarkable, I must say.
Thank you. We're very excited about Gold Standard. As you can see, Chip off the old block looks just like Trippy. I think he's going to let down into a magnificent horse, and he's got such a good pedigree that I really have high hopes for him.
Yes, well, they're all very well supported, which is great. And I must congratulate you. You've had a fabulous season on the track and with the stallions.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really not me, it's my team. It's a Drakenstein award, but thank you very much.
Well, as I said, you had a wonderful season on the racetrack. Of course, you had the likes of the fillies, Oh Susanna and Snowdance. They gave you a wonderful start to the year with the Met and everything, so that was fabulous. But on the track, I mean, Duke of Marmalade, that you really went out with a bang with him, didn't you?
I'm very pleased about that because Duke of Marmalade's never had a 2-year-old stakes winner anywhere in the world. But I think South Africa suits him. So for Temple Graffin to win, I think it's a Group 3 he won. And the trainers seem to really like the progeny, so I'm excited.
Some of the country's top stallions are managed by John Freeman. This week we take a look at one of his stallion profiles.
Beach Beauty Champions Cup. Now Futura starts to warm up, and Futura's coming on starting now. Futura will win the Beach Beauty Champions Cup.
Futura gets driven into the lead. Futura with 100 metres left to go. Futura beats Louis the King. 300 metres left to go. Futura is coming out full of running between runners. It's Futura. Futura wins the Germany Met.
Ice Machine gets the wake-up call. Futura's on the inside. Ice Machine and Futura. Futura digs in.
The Breeding to Win team joined the Green Street Bloodstock function, which was held earlier this week. They also bring you some updated information regarding their sting in Singapore.
Yeah, the 2017-2018 season was successful on two fronts for Green Street. Very happy with the racing year. We managed significant growth in terms of clients and stock, in actual racing stock. And obviously we had a lot of winners as well. We closed off the last season, which was our first full racing season, with 24 winners. And we closed off this season with 54 winners, which I think for only two full racing seasons is a pretty good go for an operation of our size. We managed a very strong win strike rate of about just under 14% and closed the 2017-2018 season off with 30 individual winners, which I think is a very good achievement for us, and very, very happy. Considering, I think, the horses that we're running now in the last year or two were horses from our very first buying crops for Green Street. We were operating on a shoestring budget, just trying to get new owners into the game. And our modus operandi was to buy horses that were, you know, on the lower end of the price range, that were going to come to hand early and give the guys a quick return. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, to go to the sales with very little money and buy horses at that range that can actually win any type of race, which we managed to do well, and not only just win a race or two with each horse, but managed to trade them on afterwards for a fair profit. And we've used that reinvestment to significantly upgrade our quality in the next buying crop, which are the horses that have now just turned 3. And we've already seen a couple of them come to hand as 2-year-olds. The likes of Confessional, he won a nice juvenile pate when he broke his maiden. He beat a subsequent 5 or 6 length winner in Provocateur. Things didn't go his way on July Day when he stepped up into Group 2 quality. We found him to have quite a bad lung infection, so we've given him a little bit of time off since, and he'll be back as a 3-year-old this year. And we also got the likes of Mac and Scar, who's a Black Minaloosh brother to Sniper Shot. We've got a brilliant syndicate of South African cricketers in there. Thank you to Andrew Miller, the auctioneer, well-known racing man in South Africa. He got his son David involved, and he roped in Kyle Abbott and Simon Harmer and the Birch brothers. They were involved with this horse as well. They had a phenomenal year as well. The Birch brothers is a breeding operation, and this colt, he won very well first time out by a good couple lengths. We also reached some very important milestones, which were provided some good fun and functions throughout the season. We had our 50th winner, the aptly named Mr. Green Street Brokers Maiden at Kenilworth, and delivered our 50th winner with Snaith Racing. They had a phenomenal season, and we've had a good few winners with them this season. And then also our star filly in Johannesburg, Mrs. O. She's an Oratorio filly who we acquired after she ran second in a Group 2 race. And she managed to bag the Gold Rush Sprint, which is a non-black type event, but a small feature nonetheless. And she beat the boys in a scintillating run, which she quickened on the outside rail to win very nicely. And a great bunch of guys involved in that filly, and having very, very good amounts of fun with her up in Johannesburg. And we'll be targeting the Group 2 she was runner-up in last year. This season it's coming up in the earlier part of the year. And hopefully she can pull that win off for us. Away from Green Street's syndication operation, I formalized my personal bloodstock and equine operation into Vermaak Equine in the last year or so, and managed to select a good few horses for clients that have done well. Obviously, the prime example was Brave Mary. She was a horse that I purchased with Paul Matchett at a ready-to-run sale for only 40,000 Rand. And she managed to win a Group 1 6 months later, and she bagged 1.1 million rands in stakes. She ran second in the ready-to-run race as a 3-year-old, and she was sold in a big deal to Team Valor International afterwards, and she's now racing in France. So that was a pretty good purchase from the two of us. We also managed to purchase Kissable in that buying year as well. She won the Umgeni handicap listed race. She was only 120,000 Rand purchase. She's earned 450,000 Rand now, and racing very well for her owner, Fani Bronkhorst. And then on July Day as well, Kissable managed to win on that race day as well. There was another colt that I managed to purchase for only 45,000 Rand at the KZN sale the year before, called Given It Some, a son of Lateral, from the Birch brothers. And he managed at only his second start to win the KZN Yearling Million, banking 684,000 Rand in only his 2 starts. Not bad for a 45,000 Rand purchase. And I believe he has been exported. Not 100% sure if the deal has been done, but I'm pretty sure he's being exported as well. So 3 nice purchases over the year, very cost-effective prices, 45,000 Rand. They've done really well. And then together with Northfield's Bloodstock, we managed to bring in Erupt, who's a dual Group 1 winning son of Dubawi, who's going to be standing at the fantastic Main Chance Farm. So busy year on that front, successful year. And hopefully into the season we'll have a good few more group horses and Group 1 horses to bring to the public's attention this time next year. Singapore is a place that we expanded into about 18 months ago. We've already had a bit of success there, but we were feeling out the waters and getting our clients involved in a horse or two early on. And with the recent good performances, we've now decided to launch something more officially, which is why we've launched Green Street International, which is a separate arm, obviously linked with Green Street Bloodstock, which is how we operate in South Africa. But Green Street International now operating out of Singapore. We've got some good and exciting things to show people, and we've had a great response with locally based and internationally based owners wanting to race in Singapore because it is such a fantastic racing destination. It's a truly first world city, a remarkable place to go to and to visit. And the racing is the same. The Kranji Turf Club is a phenomenal place to race. The technology is incredible, and the horse racing is really, really enjoyable and really good fun to get out there on Fridays and Sundays. Of course, Teletrack in South Africa picks up all the racing, so we can watch our horses run, whether it be on Friday nights or early Sunday mornings here for the Sunday afternoon meetings in Singapore. And it's just something really exciting to be a part of an international syndicate and see your horses running overseas. And you know, the prize money is so good out there that it makes it really viable. When you initially hear about the training and the upkeep costs, it is a lot relative to South Africa. But you've got to bear in mind that restricted maidens in Singapore are running for 85,000 Sing dollars. We use 10 to 1 as a rule of thumb. It's a little bit more now with the recent slump of the Rand. But 850,000 Rand gross for a maiden plate is something that's quite special.
In behind those is Super Tycoon, pulled off heels from Deadline Day, Lokalani, nothing else getting involved here as they race down inside the closing stages. It's Dave Flirt who shows out. Here comes Pomp, Commando Eclipse, plenty of challenges. O'Reilly Star's not out of this with Super Tycoon, and Deadline Day sneaking up the inside, almost 5 across the track, and it's Deadline Day in front, just about from Super Tycoon as they race towards the line, and Deadline Day is going to go on and score on debut.
So, you know, we had our horse Deadline Day when he won his maiden there. He banked just over $40,000, about 400,000 Rand for his troubles. It was a debut win. And, you know, that equates to just under a year's training fees. So you can imagine winning a maiden in South Africa and banking a year's keep. It's a real significant help to those costs. I know a lot of owners race differently. A lot of owners spend their money on their purchase price and they write that off out of their minds, and then they just want that monthly upkeep to pretty much pay for itself, which is really hard to do in many countries, not just South Africa, but in Singapore it really is not hard. You don't need a super talented horse to be able to pay its own way. I was quite pleasantly surprised by the first time I went to Argentina last year. The horse stock is really, really high quality, and it can be purchased for decent amounts of money. And when you're racing for the stakes that you're racing for in Singapore, it's an absolute no-brainer. And not only is there value for money there, but the the track record is there as well. Patrick Shaw is someone who's been buying out of Argentina for a long time, and he has had phenomenal success. Some of his huge equine dollar millionaires that have been performing to a great level in Singapore, that have traveled to Hong Kong and Dubai, they've come from Argentina. He has a very good horse, I think he's just retired now, called Keshwa. He earned 3.1 million Sing dollars, which is 30 million rand, which is a phenomenal amount of money. He had another horse called Cooptado, who is also earned just over $1 million. He was an Argentine runner in Singapore. Perfect P, $622,000. Magneto, another Argentine-sourced horse, $486,000 he earned in Singapore. And then there's another horse called Storm Troops. He earned $605,000 out in Singapore as well. So when you crack it right and you get a horse that can earn that much money, that's why you see owners, the likes of Fred Krabbier, Bernard Cantor, racing horses out there. Now the likes of Marsh Shurtleff investing a lot with his son Guy and racing a fair number of horses in Singapore. These guys, they're not fools. They've seen the financial implications of racing in a place like that when you crack it right. And as I said, coupled with the enjoyment, they're out there racing these horses. And as I said, Argentina, proven track record. If we rake our minds and go right to the back of them, well, for me anyway, Empress Club was a long time ago. Argentine superstar, Alpicia won back-to-back Julys. In more recent times, they've done really, really well in America. It's a place that's quite close by. The Americans spend a lot of money on Argentine horses, taking them up to race there. And just this year, High Happy is a pure prize raced by a farm called La Providencia. He won the Group 1 Man of War on turf, which is a very, very big turf race in America. And recently, the Group 1 Arlington Million South American bred horses ran first and third, with Robert Bruce from Chile winning and Cacho ND running in third. And then some fillies like Blue Prize and Donna Bruche have done very, very well there this year, winning Group 2 races. And Valdori as well, who's a daughter of Asiatic Boy, who's another Argentine bred horse that raced so tremendously well with Marc de Kock in Dubai. Along with the likes of Invasor, who won the Dubai World Cup, and he was an absolute superstar. So not only is Argentina proven in South Africa and in America as well, but most importantly, the destination where we're racing, Singapore. Tough, hard, sound horses. They race a lot. They race till they're pretty old, and they've been proven to earn a lot of money out there if you can crack the right one. The other place where we source our horses from is Australia. We will get into the two horses I bought there from the sale at Magic Millions in July in a little bit, but very similar to Singapore, weather very similar, and obviously proximity is great. It's close, it's a quick flight, and it doesn't take a lot of adaptation. When the horses arrive there already doing half paces and three-quarter paces in work, it only takes a couple of months to get them race ready. So it's really convenient, and of course 80 to 90% of the horses running in Asian countries, Singapore and Hong Kong, are from Australasia. And, it's a place that the horses do really well. They breed horses for speed and gate speed, which helps a lot in Singapore. So they're very, very effective. And the trainers and bloodstock agents out there know the market very well and are very effective in choosing good horses for Singapore from Australasia. The two horses that I managed to buy at the Magic Millions sale in July last year were Street Party and Street Blade. Street Blade is a Zoffany colt. He's a half-brother to Samurai Blade, who ran a place in the Derby here in South Africa behind Abashiri. And Street Party is a Congrats colt who is a sire by AP Indy, who's not very commercial in Australia, but he had a good horse called Jupiter Gold who just won a big Group 1 in Singapore. At that time, he was one of the top young up-and-coming horses there. As you can see by the yearling pictures taken in 2017, these were at the sales at time of purchase. And compared to the pictures which were taken in January 2018 on arrival in Singapore, they did very, very well at the pre-training establishment in Australia. We keep them there right till the end of their preparation. It's a lot cheaper to pre-train in Australia than it is in Singapore, and we can get them there in Singapore pretty much ready to hit the ground running. Two completely different horses. It's only 7 or 8 months time frame between the two pictures, but you can see how much improvement they made. And it's a real fascinating way that the owner feedback and owner experience works out in Singapore. It's quite different to South Africa. From the moment the horses hit the ground in Singapore, you get world-class updates. And, it starts with as they arrive, When you're building up to race time, you get all the track work footage that comes through to from the Turf Club, and you get to see your horse slowly going from a half pace into a 3/4 work, and then actually having a spin around the poly track or the grass track at Cranji. And that builds right up into trial races as well. Horses have to have trials before they start there. And those are like little mini races. They don't always run in the owner's colours.
Orange band on the arm. Back on the fence, we've got Gyarados. Further back, Extra Win. And tailing up the field is Purr and Power. Just over 200 metres left to go, and Street Blade, he's doing a good job in front. The Chestnut Street Party, his stablemate on the outside, moves up lovely to come and join him as they run to the line. There's not much in it between the two, but it's a 1-2 for Green Street.
You get a good idea, and the horses get to lose that potential greenness that they may have first time out. But you as an owner are now experiencing the film track work and the film trials before the actual race happens. So you're involved, you're getting constant information. The flow of information is great. And you're getting a pretty good idea of the action of your horse and whether he's got a future out in Singapore just from seeing how he trials. And you receive the trainer video feedback from the jockeys as well. It's really packaged brilliantly, and just brings something new to the owner experience.
This is a nice horse. He's just all went wrong for him. He's jumped. I put him in a sort of position in between two horses, and he's run a bit clean. I'm going a bit faster than he should. And then I had Nunes come back in his face, so I've had to take him back. And because he's raw, he doesn't want to listen. So he's just over raced then, and then he's then done this, and he's got enough Tiswas. By the time he got around the 400, he was like fried out, and he's just thrown the race. So ignore it. Just put him to sleep next time. Don't try and put him in the race.
After the race, after you've received your race replays and the photography and all that of the horse on the day, we have a brilliant feedback system from the Turf Club. They have trackers which supply them with sectional timing. So we get sent the trackers aerial side and jockey views, which is that animated feed where you can see how the horse ran through the running and where he was placed, the ground he made up. And then on the Turf Club website, you get a link where you can actually see the sectional timing. It goes into average speeds through different fractions. You can see how many meters your horse covered extra because he was this far off the rail at a certain point in the race, and his max speed from the 800 to the 400 and the 400 to the finish. And it gives you a great insight into the race and how hard done by, or if you got the run of the race. And it's just a little bit of added extra for especially those guys who like to really get into the technicalities of things and have a bet on their horses, and they can really downsize it and get into that information. And it just adds an extra professional spin on everything and completes the entire package, which is Singapore racing and what we produce to our owners. Street Party and Street Blade both had brilliant debuts. Street Party, he debuted in a ready-to-run little feature race worth $90,000 or 900,000 Rand. He debuted against winners and against some expensive imports. And as you can see in his replay, he was tailed off, outpaced early on, and he really made up fantastic ground in the straight, and he ran on very strongly to run third, where he banked around $9,000 or 90,000 Rand for running third on his debut. Funny enough, Bernard Cantor, a South African owner's horse, won the race with an Argentine import by Pure Prize. And quite nice to see the slow-mo and the pull-up of two South African owners' colours. Bernard Cantor's obviously, and then we're not quite there in that league, but also South African owners Green Street on his inside. So that was quite a touching little slow-mo pull-up, but a fantastic debut from the horse. And as I touched on in my conversation about Singapore earlier, that horse, when he drops now down in class to a maiden, he's an absolute penalty kick, and he'll be looking to bank just north of $40,000 or 400,000 Rand when he banks that check, and that'll pay for his next year's training fees. Street Blade, when he debuted in a restricted maiden, and great performance on the poly track. We were very, very happy with him. He's shown a lot of speed at home, as you could see in those trial races and that footage. And he was just beaten by an older horse on the day who managed to gain some ground on him around the bend coming into the straight. A very experienced, very good rider, Michael Rod, on the winner. And Street Blade, just from greenness, lost a bit of touch with him, got 4 or 5 lengths off that leader. He made very good ground in the straight running on, and the line came just too early, but he ran a fantastic second, very happy with him, and he banked 15 or 16,000 Sing dollars, about 160,000 Rand that day, running second on his debut. And as you can tell by that run, he's got another $40,000 win check coming very, very shortly when he runs in a restricted maiden. So as you can see by the purchases of those two horses, very, very viable financially and very happy with the starts they've made. And we always treat horses a year younger than they actually are. They're the Derbies and the 4-year-old series. Like in South Africa, we have the 3-year-old series and that type of thing. But in Singapore and Hong Kong, we race them as 4-year-olds in the 4-year-old series. That's where the money is. So generally as 3-year-olds, they're more like our 2-year-olds here, just getting going, just getting started. So it's really early days for these two horses. And I think they've got some good earnings and bright futures ahead of them.
We're here at the Sugar Hotel. It's Green Street's Bloodstock International launch. We're going to be catching up with a few VIPs as well. But congratulations to Justin Vermaak and his team. A great season, over 50 winners in their current season. They've only been going around for 2 years and they've now branched in to Singapore. We'll find out more now. You're good friends with Justin, and obviously you've been travelling the world with him a little bit as well. Great initiative from them, and for 2 years, especially with Bernard Fairherb as well. I know you are very close. You do your morning walks with him, and I think it's going to be an exciting venture for the guys.
Yes, I think it'll be an incredible venture. He's been racing there for some time already as Green Street, and with fair success, and can only get better. As I said, you definitely can pay your way there. So, and Singapore is wide open to us, and they enjoy entertaining us there and so on. And I can only wish them well, and I'm sure they will have that success. And saying that, they've had an incredible year over here and in Singapore. So well done to Justin, and well done a great evening. And to Bernie too, of course. As you say, I see a lot of Bernie. He's almost like my son. And yeah, I wish them very well.
John, great to have you here at the Green Street International launch, and a bit of a highlight recap of how their season went. Great initiatives, and they've brought new guys into the game as well.
Yeah, no, Grant, we need more people like Justin. I think it's fantastic that he's taking the world by storm as a South African. Wherever you go in the world, and we've done many trips, they're like ants. The Australians, the Europeans, the Americans. And here we have 1 or 2 lonely guys from South Africa going out and doing it for us. So I take my hat off to Justin. I think it's a great initiative, and I think we all need to support him.
You heard in his preview, which we'll be discussing a little bit later on as well, he's been to the Argentina, he's been all around the world looking at horses. He understands the game, he understands the genetics.
Well, for sure. And as a South African, if you'd like to invest anywhere around the world, if you'd like to buy an Argentinian horse, phone Justin. He's been there. He's seen them. He knows what they need to do. If you want to race in Singapore, phone Justin. He's raced there. He's actually done the donkey work for all of us. So from that point of view, I think we can learn from Justin. I think a lot of us breeders, and I'm talking particularly about breeders now, maybe we need to go around the world with him. Go and see how they race around the world. Go and see the tracks. And I think as South Africans, we'll grow by using guys like Justin.
Adrian, great to catch up with you here at the Sugar Hotel, along with the Green Street Bloodstock International launch as well. Great initiative from Green Street.
I think so, Grant. You know, I'm very glad to be here tonight and just see what the Green Street team have achieved internationally. With what we're trying to do with the exports and the protocols, it's important that the name gets out there. And Justin, Bernard and the Green Street team have really done a good job with that.
Firstly, thank you very much for hosting this event for Green Street Bloodstock. Never been here before, but a great activity and a great event that you've put on for us, and what a nice venue.
Thanks. So, you know, Justin, it's my pleasure, first of all. And second, Justin lives around the corner, so he's a regular here. And he started talking about this some time ago. And I said to him, listen, we'll do it together. We'll try get somebody mainstream that's not in racing involved. And that's how we got the winery, Beyers Kloof, involved. I think it's a first for them to do this type of thing, especially with racing. And it was really a pleasure. And, you know, a lot of the guys that are here, the guests, I've known them for years in racing. So it's a pleasure to have them here. And it's great to put on a show for them.
Well, let's talk about the venue. It's the Sugar Hotel. The restaurant's called Spice on Main. How many rooms do you have, and what's the type of trade that you do?
So, yeah, the hotel is called the Sugar Hotel. So we have 8 rooms at the moment. We're adding on another 3 shortly. And we've got 8 self-catering apartments, which we call the Sugar Apartments, literally 800 meters down the road, which we also use for guests. And then we've got the restaurant, Spice on Main. That's a new venture. So originally the restaurant was going to be outsourced to an operator. Things didn't go as planned, so we decided to take it over and keep the staff, and we've been working on it for the last 6 months. So it's exciting, something new. I've always eaten in restaurants rather than run them, and it's challenging, but we've got a great team, good people in the kitchen, and a good staff complement. So they're working hard, and it looks like it's going to pay off, that it's going to work. And we've got a spa on board as well, which is great for you guys to come to, called Steam on Main. So it's all the S's: steam, sugar and spice. I'd like it to be sugar and spice and all things nice, but they wouldn't let me.
We've already heard from Justin how well Green Street Bloodstock has taken off in South Africa over the past 3 years and what a phenomenal time they've had. But it was really, really exciting at Spice on Main on Saturday when Green Street Bloodstock had a launch and end-of-season party. And I'm here this morning at Green Street Bloodstock HQ in Cape Town to chat to Justin about that party. Justin, the function went really, really well.
Yeah, it did. It went fantastically well. We've had good reviews from everyone. It was very well attended, and had phone calls from people who weren't even there hearing what a good time it was. And we partnered up with Beyers Kloof as well as Spice on Main, obviously, and Beyers Kloof had the wine flowing with presentations and tastings, and the food and everything at Spice on Main is always phenomenal. So it was a great function. A lot of our current clients, the usual gang, and then a lot of new prospective clients who all had a great time, and obviously found the clip that that everyone watched very informative, as a bit of a review on how the past season went, and then our operations in Singapore, which obviously a few South Africans know about it, but it's not widely known. And great place to race, great fun. And we just thought that after our winner there and the new young horses doing well, as we saw in the promotional video, we thought it would be a good time to formalize it and do some type of launch to show people even more information of how it works now that we've got the running examples. So hopefully a good year in the making. And on the local front, we've obviously got the 3-year-olds running now are from a buying crop where I spent a little bit more money on horses, contrary to the years before where it was really bottom end of the market. And those horses came out, won a few races, and obviously now we've got a lot more quality stepping out this year, and there's been some really, really good performances. We had a horse, Ganesh Talai, win first time out, run group placed. He's been exported now from that crop, and we had a stunning debut from a grey trippy of ours called Herodotus, who we have high summer season hopes for. So hopefully he goes on with that. And then obviously the horses in Singapore that have just had 1 run each, that they placed in very good races, and they should have big years in Asia this season as well. So hopefully a lot more to report, and a very prosperous year coming forward.
Well, you've done a really fantastic job. Syndication is the way to go, and you've taken off with Green Street here in South Africa, but you've got a lot of those guys involved in Singapore as well. Yeah, a lot of them are involved with Singapore, which is great, and they've had a good experience, which obviously helps all the time. As we saw at the function, and widely known around South Africa, Mark Shirtliff and his son Guy they're quite big owners in their own right over there, and they've obviously joined us with bits and bobs of our horses there too. Catherine and Lindsay Rolfs have been supporters of ours as well, and Vian Smith, and a whole bunch of people, too many to name. So it's nice to see that caliber of client getting involved, and seeing how it works. They're all very excited every time one of the horses runs. The WhatsApp group goes crazy, and we've got Street Party running this weekend after his 3rd in a feature on debut, and hopefully he goes close to winning his maiden, and the guys will be very excited when the stakes hits the bank accounts. Well, it's always a pleasure to chat to Justin Wehrmacher and have him on the show. And it was really, really exciting to hear all about the launch for Singapore. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing those horses run in the future.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Breeding to Win. Please join us next week for more Breeding to Win action. Until then, for myself, Julie Alexander, and the Breeding to Win team, goodbye.